Welcome everyone to the junior finals of Odisha Debating League. We have Team 7 and Team 5. Team 7 going as prop, Team 5 is going up. Team 7 have Samarth, Vedant, Aisha Goel, and Team 5 have Naisha, Rutvi, and Ruhbani. We have a panel of four judges being chaired by Robin Ahuja. We have Keshav, Shashant, and Sanya. With that, let me invite Robin.
Hello everyone, this is Robin. I'll be chairing this round. I don't have any preferred pronouns. You can refer to the panel as a whole. I would like to request my panelists to kindly introduce themselves.
Hello everyone, Sushant this side. No preferred gender pronouns. All the best.
Hi everyone, this is Sanya. No preferred pronouns. Best of luck for the debate.
Hey everyone, Keshav. No preferences. Best of luck for the debate.
Wonderful. So we're debating on the motion that this house believes that the narrative that human is the supreme species on earth has done more harm than good to humanity. I would like to request speakers to kindly introduce themselves before they start the speech. They can tell their preferred pronouns if any, and also the preferred way of taking POIs. All speeches will be of 4 minutes, and projected time is for the first minute and for the last minute. So without any further ado, I would like to invite the Prime Minister to open the case from side government. Hear, hear.
Right. Can I start my speech now? I'll be starting in three, two, one. At the point at which opposition supports the destruction of the environment at an unsustainable rate through this narrative, we can confidently tell you they lose today's debate. Three things in my debate today: first in stance, second in characterization, and third in arguments with impacts. First in stance, the narrative that humans are the supreme species on Earth justifies the exploitation of natural resources and other species for human benefit. This can lead to destructive practices such as deforestation, overfishing, and pollution, which have severe consequences for the environment and other species. The Amazon forest is a prime example of this harm, as deforestation destroys habitats and contributes to climate change. We need to recognize the damaging effects of this narrative and work towards a more sustainable and equitable relationship with the environment and other species. Our burden in today's debate is to prove to you that this narrative is harmful to the human race as a whole. Next in arguments, we have three arguments in this debate today. First, in principle of retribution. Second, in how it justifies colonization. And third, on less sustainability. First, in the first argument, three stands under this. At the point at which humans use natural resources from the earth to live a life, it is important for them to give back to the planet in some way or the other. This looks like taking care of the environment or of the planet, ensuring pollution isn't too big of a problem, while also providing humane living conditions to other animals on this planet. The narrative we are superior is bad because it is inherently a narrative that lacks any form of compassion or empathy. Essentially, it is an attempt by humans to play God and to be in the position of a benevolent entity with the ability to change the living conditions of others. This narrative encourages humans to look at it from a perspective where if it benefits humans, it benefits every single being on the planet. This ideology leads to even more harm than good to the species on this planet. Do note that we came from these primitive animals, we evolved from them. Therefore, it is our duty to provide them with a safe living condition, yet we choose to harm them and cause them damage, causing the earth damage too, instead of protecting it. Our side cannot stress how important it is to protect the planet we live on, as it is our only home. We cannot continue to destroy it with no remorse when it has given us a place to live and all the resources we need. The human condition is to be greedy and to hoard as all the species do to survive. And this narrative simply furthers the idea that it is okay to exploit resources in excessive amounts. For example, today we release tons of carbon into the atmosphere, we burn and cut down forests, and we mine at unsustainable rates in the belief that it will all add up to something and no other species is as advanced as us. This false pride, this supremacy leads to more harm than good because at the end of the day, it comes full cycle and us humans are the one being harmed. This is nature's way of warning us of the consequences that come with destroying its model, right? The problem being that if its resources are vital for our existence. For example, pollution causes millions of deaths every year and directly harms the environment, making it less habitable. It's as if we've forgotten we are the moral creatures like animals, and that we too depend on the environment for life itself. This narrative has single-handedly led to the destruction of the world around us, along with the potential extinction of our species. Do notice we rely on these other species for food and products, and at the point at which we use them, but think of them as lower, we are the ones setting up our own doom. Now, next, on the second argument, C stands under this. I'll be covering the first one. My DPM will do the second two. The narrative that humans are the supreme species on Earth has also been used to justify the oppression of marginalized communities, such as indigenous people and ethnic minorities. This is because many of these communities have traditional practices and beliefs that prioritize the environment and other species over human exploitation, which clashes with the dominant narrative. Therefore, subclasses are formed within this main class of human supremacy, leading to more harm as social classes are formed. Indigenous communities who are close to nature and live with it are seen as less worthy or less developed when compared to the rest. This increases the amount of colonization, and suddenly people who look at themselves as superior choose to violate and enslave those under them. For example, indigenous communities in the Amazon have long been caretakers of the rainforest, using sustainable practices to live in harmony with the environment. However, as a narrative of human supremacy has taken hold, these communities have been marginalized and their lands have been targeted for exploitation by outside interests. With that, I'd like to rest my case.
I would like to thank the Prime Minister for a very fine speech. Now, I would like to invite the leaders of opposition. Here. Also, I would request one speaker from each team to kindly write down your speaking order in the chat, as you would require that in the end. Thanks.
Am I audible and visible? Okay.
Yes, you're audible and visible.
Yes, thank you. I will be starting in 3, 2, and 1. Greetings, respected chair, panel, witty opposition, and the House at large. The motion on the floor today is this House believes the narrative that humans is the supreme species has done more harm than good to humanity. And I'm Rubani Singh from Team 5, and I firmly stand against the motion. Before I begin, I would like to mention that Naisha, as the second speaker, will be establishing new points and will further take more detailed, will furthermore go into detail. And Ruti, as the third speaker, will rebut and elaborate on points that have already been established. Now, let's look at the status quo on our side of the debate that the proposition forgot to mention. We currently live in a world where humans have developed various technologies and have greatly improved human life, such as electricity, the internet, and medical advancements like vaccines and antibiotics. Humans have made significant scientific discoveries, such as the discovery of the structure of DNA, which has led to advancement in genetic engineering and medicine. We live in a world where humans have developed techniques for agriculture and food production that have helped for the growth and civilization and the expansion of populations. We live in a world where humans have created a vast array of cultural and artistic achievements, including literature, music, painting, and architecture that enrich human life and provide a window into the human experience. Ladies and gentlemen, look at how we have more gains than harms, and that most harms are caused due to the trial and error method that we as humans we humans are very adaptive species, and hence we do require experimentation in order to bring in positive change, and humans are also working towards ending these harms. The burdens on our side of the debate is to prove to you how this narrative has benefited numerous species around the world, how this narrative has helped, and how this narrative has helped humanity as a whole. The stakeholders for this debate are humans, all species across the globe, and all global and universal development. Now let's get into the crux of this debate. What is the narrative that human is a supreme species on Earth, and what is humanity? The narrative that humans are supreme species on Earth is a belief that humans are inherently superior to all other species and have the capacity for modern consideration and compassion. Humanity can refer to human race or the quality of being human, and it can also mean the trait of being kind and understanding. See, this debate will be tilting on our side because here we are simply focusing on how humans are benefiting from humanity. For instance, humanitarian efforts. Humans have undertaken humanitarian efforts to help others in need, such as disaster relief efforts, aid to refugee, and fight against poverty and diseases. Us humans are capable of making use of other animal capabilities. Thus, it helps societies such as animals, it helps species such as animals and humans. Then we have agriculture. Humans have developed techniques for cultivating crops and raising livestock, allowing the production of food in a large scale and sustaining growing populations. There are many more benefits that my team will be elaborating on further. And in conclusion, I would like to mention humans have benefited humanity in many ways, from advancements in technology and science to the development of culture and artistic achievements, social and political systems, and humanitarian efforts. While there are also negative impacts of human actions, it is important to recognize and celebrate the positive contributions of humans to society and work towards a more just and sustainable world. Humans have made immense contribution to humanity, shaping the world that we live in today and improving the quality of life for countless people. Panel, I would like to mention that the opposition did not mention the status quo and had cherry-picked data that they only saw from their lens. Thank you. Happy to oppose.
I would like to thank the leader of opposition for a very fine speech calling upon the Deputy Prime Minister. Hear, hear.
Can we have 20 to 30 seconds to finish?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Um, okay, I'll take POS through the chat. So I'll be starting in 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, go. At the point at which the opposition suggests that other species' lives are not valuable at all, we have won this debate. So 3 things in today's debate. Then rebuttals, rebuilding, and the third constructive. Let's start with rebuttals and rebuilding. Billions of years ago, long forgotten ape species reproduced to create us. As my PM said, we were once primitive, and at the time, our current level of intelligence was unthinkable. Literally, it was by a stroke of luck that our brains were able to evolve into what we are today. Through luck, we were able to dominate the earth, and we have been abusing our power for centuries. One of the most prominent lessons taught to our young today is the privilege should give back to their communities and be grateful for their circumstances. And yet, we have no sense of duty or responsibility to protect the natural systems of this earth. They talk about how antibiotics and engineering would not exist without the disregard for the environment. But you notice how unfair it is to be characterizing this under the narrative. Under this narrative, one can still achieve development even without this argument, as one can still make vaccines and other technologies without this narrative. By believing that we are superior to other species, we enable the death of our species because we attempt to play God and cause damage. Humanitarian aid and culture would exist without this narrative, and we would still achieve development without this narrative. Do notice that this narrative is limited to superiority, and if we worked for as much as we needed, we still would get development. When they defend the status quo, they support the disparities between the first and third world and the slavery of the less fortunate. Essentially, through this superiority, we got more social classes, something we will explain in the next 2 strands of our second argument. They support the willing ignorance of the greedy humans who want more money and more power. Now, I will continue on my PM's Second constructive. Similarly, so ethnic minorities in other parts of the world have faced displacement and discrimination in that as their traditional lands and practices are seen as standing in the way of economic development. The narrative of human supremacy is often used to justify these actions, as it portrays the exploitation of natural resources as necessary for human progress. Overall, the narrative of human supremacy not only harms the environment and other species, but also reinforces systems of oppression and marginal, marginalization. We must challenge this narrative and work towards a more equitable and sustainable relationship with the environment and other species, as well as marginalized communities. Now, seeing no POI, three stands for our third constructive. Pretending to be a benevolent overlord has suited humanity and its goals for hundreds of years. We think of ourselves as immortal gods, which leads to more harm than good, for the sole reason that it is unsustainable. At the point at which you are willing to risk everything in an attempt to advance your civilization, it of course is unsustainable. We abuse industries to the point where they release tons of carbon dioxide every year, and we ensure that our environments are reduced to ashes just for profit. The belief that our species is supreme leads to the death of animals at an unsanitary rate, reducing food supply while releasing carbon in the atmosphere. This in turn reduces the sustainability of these industries, which kills all forms of existence in the future. This illusion leads to the disregard and the well-being of other species. One might argue that other species aren't at the same level of awareness as us, but even if we only consider our own self-interest, it is still important to preserve these other species. This is because of the food chain. Other species such as bees are essential in pollination, and all birds and animals have their roles in the environment. This is why, under all circumstances, we must strive to preserve the creatures in our earth. Now, how does this relate back to the motion? The fact is, directly or indirectly, the notion that humans are superior to all other species is what caused all this environmental damage. This means that all of the damages that we send straight to the environment come back to us in full circle. Essentially, the animals we kill today and the carbon we release today will come back to haunt us, as the ecosystems around us are going to die, leading to more damages. Thank you. Proud to propose.
I would like to thank the Deputy Prime Minister for a very fine speech calling upon the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here.
Am I audible and visible clearly?
Yes, you're audible and visible.
I will take POIs verbally. I will start in 3, 2, 1. Greetings to the House at large, and I today strongly oppose this motion. I'm assuming that this debate is judged on the basis of how humans are superior species or not, and how humanity has contributed towards our society at large. But my opposition has failed to answer both these questions. I would love to start with my first constructive, but the assertions made by my opponents have forced me to rebut them first anyway. Firstly, Prime Minister, we're not talking about environment, we're talking about humanity as a whole. Panel, please note. Panel, please note there has been poor characterization in the speech made by DPM and they have failed to mechanize it. Panel, we are talking about humanity, but they have diverted the topic towards ecosystem. Our Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister sounded as if the humanity in us humans is dead. Why are they forgetting that there are many organizations who are helping animals and other species and making efforts to stop the extinction of these species? Panel, please note that the opposition failed to see the layers of supreme species and humanity, and they are just speaking from the surface. Coming to my first constructive. Humanity describes a particular kind of animal that biologists encouragingly call Homo sapiens or wise human, and which seems distinct from all other animals because of its powers of knowledge, reasoning, imagination, and technology. This biological and evolutionary use of the term has the same meaning as humankind and marks us out as a particular life form that is different to other kinds of animal and vegetative life. Wait, my dear opposition, humanity is uniformly constructive that there are humans whose net influence on the environment and the well-being of other species is positive. Humans are the only species capable of making preserving efforts to protect other species and taking up projects to save our environment. Prime Minister, you have to understand what humanity is on a macrobiological scale. We are the planet. Before humans, the earth could not think, and it was not even aware of itself as a planet. It could not escape from its own gravity well. Thus, all life would play out alone on the earth and die when our star grows too hot.
However, now the Earth can think and plan ahead. Humans will take our genetic material far past the Earth's gravity, well into a virtually limitless universe. And in this way, humanity not only improved the Earth, we are the Earth. And the Earth is going to put everything it has ever been into us from here on out, because we are its breathing and the thinking future. And the Earth will never go back. It has left us its warmth after 4 billion years and has matured into us. And that's what makes us a supreme species who's always working towards humanity. Opposition, even in your best case scenario, you did not fulfill the burden to prove that the word of this debate is on your side. This principle of humanity is a fundamental value at play in every Red Cross and Red Crescent worker, wherever they are in the world today. If you stop one of them in whatever they are doing, taking blood donations in a major city, organizing relief in war or disaster, or negotiating with diplomats in the UN Security Council, and if you ask them why they are doing this, each one of them would say, I am trying to protect the life and health and ensure respect for human beings. This is humanity in action, and it is the power of this humanity, humane behavior towards other humans, that we seek to celebrate, improve, and increase in our movement. Panel, please note that the proposition has failed to convey that humans are a supreme species on the earth and that they are doing more harm than good. Let me explain the weighing over here, that how does it look on your side and how does it benefit us? The purpose of humanity is to build a human we in which can share common species consciousness as one group sharing a single planetary home, and so work together on common problems and common opportunities that we can face as a social society. But my opposition fails to prove the power of humanity itself. Ladies and gentlemen, I have talked about how humans have done more good than harm to humanity, and I hope that I have convinced you to believe the same. And here I rest my case, but never my stand. Thank you. Happy to oppose.
I would like to thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition for a very fine speech calling upon government whip. Hear, hear.
Can I have 20 seconds to formulate your?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So let me get my timer. Yeah. Can you see me? Am I audible and visible?
Yep, you're audible and visible.
Okay. Cool. So my time starts in 3, 2, 1. Panel, at the point at which side opposition's only rebuttal to our entire case is technology and humanitarian aid, we can tell you they lose today's debate. Okay, this debate has turned into a muddled up mess of stances. So let me clarify to you what this debate actually means. They talk about how human superiority creates aid and want for humans, and how it drives human aid and stuff like that. But notice how this would still exist, because the need to still exist in humans is there. It's just that the narrative that we are better than all other creatures on this planet is wrong. It is false pride. And we have broken this down through our speech, and I'll be re-explaining it in my clashes. The problem here is that they disregard the importance of the environment around, and their only rebuttal is technology, which we have already explained still exists on our side of the house, because you can still get technological developments without running the narrative that we are better than everyone else. We can still be aware that we are smart, but at the point at which we start calling ourselves the greatest of them all, we think of ourselves as immortal, we think of ourselves as disconnected from the problems of the earth, which just leads to our downfall as a whole. So, Panel, at the point at which we start calling ourselves the greatest of them all, we think of ourselves as immortal, we think of ourselves as disconnected from the problems of the earth, which just leads to our downfall as a whole. So, Panel, at the point at which we start calling ourselves the greatest of them all, we think of ourselves as immortal, we think of ourselves as disconnected from the problems of the earth, which just leads to our downfall as a whole. So, let's compare both sides now in our clashes. 3 clashes, and which side is better for the environment, which side is more sustainable, and which side benefits humans. On to our first clash then, which side betters the environment. Why is this clash important? It is because if you benefit the environment, you extend the lifespan of us humans. When you extend the lifespan of our earth, you're ensuring the home we live in is clean. We are ensuring the home we live in is sustainable and is going to be the place we live in for years on end. What other planet would we go to if Earth were to collapse entirely? We still haven't got the technology required to go to another planet and live there. So if the Earth is gone, we are gone. Now, working on this point, they talk about how humanitarian aid exists. They talk about how people, animals, and the other species are still treated well by us. But look, think about it in this light. How have we benefited creatures? You still see slaughterhouses all across the globe. And even if these slaughterhouses are necessary, do notice the unsustainable rate at which they are slaughtering animals, because at some point we're going to kill off our entire ecosystem. And because we kill off our entire ecosystem, because we are actively a part of the ecosystem of the earth, we are disconnected from the earth because it is our home, we are going to be impacted. We aren't going to have food. We aren't going to have enough resources. This is something we've already seen in the third world, as in third world countries already face these problems on a day-to-day basis where they don't have enough resources because colonizers who have come from abroad have nicely come in and taken all of their crops, taken their harvest, have overused their land because they feel that they are more superior than nature-loving beings. And because of this, they haven't rebutted our second argument. They haven't rebutted our first argument. In fact, both of those arguments still stand. Our argument on colonization still stands. And to elaborate on that idea, because us humans think of ourselves as superior when we disconnect ourselves from the problem of the earth, communities which actually care about the earth, which understand the triviality of the earth itself, are going to be enslaved, are going to be used for profit. At the point at which we are willing to risk our environment and being protected time for a few monetary bills, for a few paper bills, what are we doing? How are we going to continue to live? We can take this on to the sustainability clash, where we prove to you that sustainability is going to be a problem when we are not caring about the sustainability of our earth. Rather, we are caring about how much money we have in our pockets, or how profitable our business is. Because of this, we are going to see a drop in sustainability, and we've already seen it in the status quo. Industries are falling, the third world is falling because of the sheer amount of climate change and other factors. So the people who are most vulnerable are already being affected. Millions of people die of climate change today. And at the point at which they say their side benefits humans, even with all of the negative impacts we list out, we can tell you confidently we win today's debate. For those reasons, I rest my case and urge a pro-ballot. Thank you.
I would like to thank the government whip speaker for a very fine speech, calling upon the opposition whip to be the last speech of this round. Here.
Yeah, seconds to recollect. May I have 20 seconds?
Oh yeah, sure.
I will not be taking POIs due to a lack of time, and I'll be beginning on the reverse count of 3, 2, and 1. Good evening, respected panel. I am Ruthvi Punia, the whip from the opposition, and I'm here to prove to you why exactly the respected adjudicator scores will be higher on our side. Our side's burdens were to prove how the narrative that human is the supreme species on Earth has benefited humanity as a group of humans on Earth, how it has practically formed the kind and understanding trait known as humanity, and how this has led to benefit the entire world around. Side proposition's burdens were to prove how this narrative specifically caused harm to humanity, or even more harm than good, to say that there has been counter development, which they have clearly failed to prove, leaving us with a win. Let me show you how. Through a complete perspective, something the proposition lacked. Proposition. In the fact debate so far, you have been stating that the narrative of human being the supreme species on Earth is or what is known as anthropocentrism, has been worse for humanity than good. With this itself, anyone can conclude that you believe that humans who could dominate in global and universal development with this narrative have not benefited humanity. You are stating that this narrative has degraded humanity, that this narrative has brought humanity below its known standards. Let us define humanity here, something my LO has already done. Humanity in physical context is that of all humans around the world as a group. Have we, as a supreme and highly adaptive species, not found new ways to deal with each challenge? Have we not changed hard work to efficiency and talent to strategy? Have we not, proposition, been able to write this debate? I would like for you to tell me that the horse standing in the stables or a fearless lion resting in the jungle could do this, that they could go beyond their environment to reach here. Who even brought horses to the stables? Us. The second context of humanity comes as a trait of kindness and understanding. We as a supreme species have learned to value those around us. We have learned to make up for our mistakes, for our adaptive fails. Could other species do the same? As a whip, I must understand your views to construct our points. And obviously, our worst case scenario is your target. Let us analyze it then. What about the environment? Since you, proposition, have constantly taken up how we as a supreme race have been causing the most damage to the environment, you did not mechanize this to find out why. Well, we did this because of our adaptive strategies. It has been mentioned time and again by us that adaptive measures mean experimentation, which means trial and error are certain. Plastic, for example, we did not start using it for fun. It was for convenience and efficiency. Are scientists not working day and night to find alternatives to this? Two, what about the obvious harms to humanity? What harms did the supremacy of humans cause to humanity itself? Well, humanity as a trait was defined by how human characteristics of being understanding with responsibility of the environment around, where we as a species understood our leadership and responsibility towards the environment we are living in, which not only developed us with our traits, but developed overall global understanding between ecosystems. Three, is human supremacy not bad for other species? This has been a point of contention throughout. I would like to point out that the proposition, your arguments have been based on ecosystems. We are talking about the effects on humanity here, not the ecosystem. I saw this coming with your weak definitions. In fact, we as a charitable team even took up your environmental concerns with our arguments widely based on the same. And we even mentioned that even other species have benefited. They would not have advanced with their purposes of life without us either. They would not have developed beyond their ecosystem. Prime Minister, if you say that we have false pride and that we are supreme, well, tell me, if we step down, would we as a species be able to survive? Would we, proposition, be able to make use of our adaptive nature? Does that not mean significant harm to our biological nature as a species itself? Clearly, harms to humanity are heavier on your side than ours. Ironic, I believe. Deputy Prime Minister, you mentioned that we are stating other species to be less valuable in comparison to us. I do not remember our team even mentioning the inferiority of other species. Vip, since you said we consider ourselves as immortal, do you? In fact, I can confirm I do not walk around with false pride considering myself immortal. I value all of life. Also, not only do we talk about treatment, we talk about development as well. Panel, please note that the proposition must remember that this debate is about impacts on humanity, not whether the narrative should exist or not, or its impacts on ecosystem or other species. Please also note that new arguments were brought in with the third speaker, which is highly uncharitable. We, proposition, are here to view things using a 360-degree lens to understand overall benefits and development and not narrow-mindedly target our mistakes as a human species. We openly wish to address our faults and rapidly repair them. This is humanity. This is what we have developed to be. I thereby rest this case.
I would like to thank the opposition whip speaker for a very fine speech. With that, we come to the end of this wonderful debate. Both teams can cross their hands virtually. Now the judges and I will go to the deliberation room and then we'll meet in the closing ceremony. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, judges.